Dear students, today I'm going to talk about Hopkins' theory of poetry. This is prescribed in your syllabus under literary terms as two concepts, inscape and in-stress. Before moving further, I would like to give an overview of G.M. Hopkins as a poet. As you are all familiar that he is considered one of the leading Victorian poets, but when we have a closer look at his poems, we find that the voice of new poetry is audible there. Chronologically, he is a Victorian poet, but his poetry in terms of language, in terms of poetic diction, it marked a complete departure from the Victorian tradition. Another important fact which is to keep in mind about Hopkins that he is a priest poet. Just because of being priest, there is a religious coloring as far as the contents of his poetry are concerned. He was ordained to priesthood in 1877. As far as the publication of his poems is concerned, they were published almost 30 years after his death in 1918. They were published by his friend Robert Bridges, who himself was also an eminent poet. As far as Hopkins' contribution to English poetry is concerned, he is remembered for his theories of inscape and in-stress as an important part of the poetic process and the innovative use of sprung rhythm. And today, our focus is on inscape and in-stress. The first important concept in Hopkins' poetic theory is inscape. This very word he coined in analogy of the words like landscape, seascape, etc. Hopkins felt that every single person or object which is there in the universe has a distinctive pattern, and we are all familiar with, whether we human beings, any other insect, a butterfly, a flower, river, mountain, a hill, everything has a specific design, a specific pattern which gives it its own individuality. And this very theory or concept of inscape is based on the ideas of a philosopher, Duns Scotus. Duns Scotus' philosophy is based on a theological belief that God never repeats himself. First. And the second thing is that as every creation of God is different from one another. So in this way we can say that there is a distinctive design, there is a special pattern, there is a singularity which creates individual identity. And last most important thing which is to be kept in mind about this individuality or this identity is that it is not static, it is dynamic, means there is no fixity in this identity. There are moving patterns whenever we talk about a particular object. For example, if we talk about tulip as a flower, there is the beautiful color of its petals, the delicacy of its petal, the overall beauty of the flower, which gives it its individuality in among the other flowers in a garden. So inscape is the pattern, is the design which gives individuality. And in-stress is the influence, impression, or the experience of the inscape by the mind of an artist. Here, the one important thing is to be kept in mind that Hopkins felt that inscape is there, means a particular design is there in every single object, but the very mental energy that helps us to realize that very particular pattern is in stress. So means that very energy or the stress of being that holds a pattern together and helps an observer to get a clear perception of that particular thing, that is in stress. So in brief, an impression of the inscape, which is recorded in the memory and imagination, is called in stress. To conclude, I would like to say that inscape and in stress convey the uniqueness, the singularity, the specificity of each created thing or person, and how this individuality or this singularity is perceived, experienced by the observer. Hopkins felt that it was the artist's job to perceive and express such uniqueness in words, and the same he has done in his poems. In our next video, we will talk about his beautiful lyric, Spring and Fall, which mirrors the true picture of the use of his poetic theory, these two terms, inscape and in stress. Thank you.